At the end of the day, the Celtics just really struggle to generate consistent, good offense. And a lot of that's because they have a lot of guys who are not really pass-first players. Jayson, Tatum, and Jaylen Brown, as we've talked about a bunch, are still learning to play that way.
What if 6 months ago, I told you that the 18-21 Celtics would be just a few wins away from winning the NBA Finals? Yeah, you probably would have called me crazy. At the beginning of the season, according to Vegas, the Boston Celtics had 40-1 odds of winning the championship. Well, here we are, and what a ride it's been to get here. What's going on, everyone? Thank you all for clicking on this video. If you enjoy it, I would really appreciate it if you dropped a like and left a comment. Also, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss another video. I'm spending all my time focusing on the quality of my videos now, so all your support really means the world. So every year there seems to be that one team that makes a big postseason run, but usually they don't make it all the way to the finals. For the Celtics, even if they lose this series, it was a beyond magical run and everything clicked at the right time. Or just maybe, this run wasn't magical at all. Maybe we should have seen this coming. So going all the way back to 2021, the Celtics had an average record of only 18-21, but something was off, and you could tell that something was missing. It almost looked like a repeat of the season before, but they had way too much talent to be 500. At the time, there were also tons of rumors about trading Jaylen Brown, and that Tatum and JB would never work together, and it's safe to say that we were wrong. At the time, even their own head coach, Ime Udoka, even criticized the team in a way that Brad Stevens never could. He said, "I think everybody's scouting report is to make those guys try to pass the ball. They don't want to pass the ball, and that's something they gotta learn." They even had to have a player-only meeting, and according to ESPN's Woj, it was not beneficial at all. Basically, what they got out of it is that there were issues with this team and this group that have been going on for a while. Even their fearless leader declared that this team was bad. All the preseason optimism quickly dried up. So, even though this meeting didn't go as planned, it may have served as a wake-up call because instantly they won 4 out of their next 5 games, but they were still far from where they needed to be. Jaylen Brown then was injured for a stretch of 10 games, and during this stretch, the Celtics got back to playing lazy and uninspiring basketball. Head coach Udoka even said again that the effort and inconsistency was frustrating at times. They were able to beat bad teams like the Thunder and the Rockets, but as soon as they ran into talent, they would commit an overwhelming amount of turnovers, as they still do today, and they also played lazy defense. It would also take a 50-point game from JT or Brown to even compete with anyone. Another ESPN writer named Tim Bontemps said, "They're stuck in neutral, maybe going backwards. Jaylen and Jayson aren't making anyone better." He also declared that change felt inevitable. Many fans had lost all hope for the Celtics this year, but oh boy did they respond. It all started on December 31st, a day when Celtics legend Sam Jones passed away at 88 years old. Boston beat a top-ranked Phoenix Suns team, scoring 123 points. This win was considered to be the turning point of the season by many fans. Once again, at this time, the Celtics only had the 12th best odds to win a championship, so that right there shows you how big of a turnaround they really had. The Celtics were still losing a lot of games, but it seemed like at last they finally found a formula to be able to compete. On January 29th, the Boston Celtics started their longest winning streak of the season, winning 9 straight games. They took their record all the way from below 500 to 34-25. Another thing to mention is that this winning streak happened as soon as Marcus Smart returned from his injury, and this may have helped his case to win Defensive Player of the Year. Tatum had struggled with his shooting throughout the year, but over these 13 games, he shot 49% from the field and 38% from behind the arc. This big run capped off with a huge win in a marquee matchup against the 43-21 Memphis Grizzlies with Ja Morant. They won 120-107, and this may have been their statement win of the season. Fast forwarding another 20 games, the Celtics had everything turned around and were dominating the entire league. The Celtics now had the top defensive rating and the 10th best offensive rating. Of course, as always in life, things can't always be perfect. On March 27th against the Timberwolves, Robert Williams tore his meniscus and was announced to miss 6 weeks with a surgery. After this injury, we saw a lot of the media saying that the Celtics were no longer title contenders and they wouldn't be able to stop teams like the Bucks with Giannis, but man, were they so wrong. One thing I love about what the Celtics did this year is that they were not afraid to play anyone. They didn't try to avoid anyone in the postseason, they were only worried about beating whoever they played. This team really embodied a world famous quote by Ric Flair that said, "To be the man, you in fact have to beat the man." I don't think anyone has ever seen a team turn their season around so fast like Boston did, but they were able to turn around their 18-21 season all the way to being the number 2 seed in the East. This led the Celtics into a first round matchup against the Brooklyn Nets with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and the number 1 cheerleader Ben Simmons. Boston was not afraid of the Nets at all, and they went right at them from the jump. They exposed everything wrong with Brooklyn. Game 1 ended with a Jayson Tatum game-winning layup off of blown coverage. The rest of the games were also very close, but all 4 ended up going the Celtics' way. The Celtics also didn't get back Robert Williams until Game 3 in that series, so that just shows how mediocre the Brooklyn Nets really were, and it shows how KD can't win on his own. I don't care what you say, Kevin Durant has never been able to prove throughout his career that he can win without a super team, and he's never been on a bad team before either. Next, the Celtics had their biggest and hardest series ahead of them against Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks. Many analysts gave them no chance with the injuries that Robert Williams was constantly facing. It seemed like there was no way they could stop the Greek Freak. And things didn't start off great for the Celtics in this series. They dropped Game 1, but then they responded with a Game 2 win. Game 3 was lost on a questionable foul call with Drew Holiday, but this season was all about responding for Boston. Every time they lost a playoff game, they would respond with a big win. So now heading into Game 6, they were down 2-3, and it seemed all but over. But of course, they were able to respond, and Jayson Tatum dropped 46 points, and they were able to get to Game 7 back at home. Game 7 was then the Grant Williams game. He hit 7 threes in what would be the best game of his career. It seemed that the Bucks put all their focus into stopping Jayson Tatum and Brown, that they forgot all about the role players. Anyways, this win would lead the Celtics to another conference finals, but this time they were looking to win. So looking all the way back, the Celtics were able to turn around a 500 season to make a deep playoff run that is still going on during the time of this video. Win or lose, this has been an incredible year for Boston compared to what it looked like it was going to be. So now the Boston Celtics were headed to Miami to square off against the Heat. It was clear that they had more talent than Miami, but the Heat were a gritty team and they knew how to find ways to win. In Game 1, the Celtics really had no chance because they were dealing with too many injuries, but again, like always, they were able to respond with another huge Game 2 win. The Heat also won Game 3 thanks to Bam Adebayo, but the Celtics responded again with a Game 4 win to even the series at 2-2. Game 5, Boston was able to absolutely lock down the Heat, holding them to 32% from the field. By this point, it looked like the Celtics were headed to the NBA Finals. They had everything figured out. Game 6 was at home, but then Jimmy Butler had an unreal performance and the Heat stole the win in the last few minutes. So now Game 7 was in Miami for all the marbles. Jayson Tatum had yet to prove himself as a clutch player in Game 7s, but as the common theme for this team that I've said throughout the whole video, they were able to respond and get a gutsy win to advance to the NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors. There was definitely some late scares. The Celtics nearly choked a big lead, but thanks to a Jimmy Butler missed three-pointer, the Celtics were able to get it done, and that's all that matters. It's definitely been a season to remember for all of Boston, and if they're able to win it all, that would probably seal the deal for the greatest turnaround season in NBA history. So far, at the time I'm making this, the Celtics have been able to steal Game 1 with an incredible performance by Al Horford and a huge comeback in the fourth quarter that nobody expected. They got blown out in Game 2, and this worries a lot of people, but again, they've always been able to respond this season, so I have no doubts for them at all. This has been an incredible year for the NBA and for the Boston Celtics. For the NBA, the ratings are finally starting to come back up from the pandemic, and for the Celtics, they were able to turn around a bad season all the way to the finals. It's been so nice to see fans back in the arenas this year, even though a lot of people, including myself, hate fan bases like Boston and Golden State. Without having fans, things were just dead, and sports were boring, so it's been nice for this Celtics team to be able to go on a run in front of everyone. That's going to be the end of this video. Let me know in the comments below what I should make next. This video took a long time to plan out and make, so I would really appreciate all your support. Also comment below if you think the Celtics are going to end up winning the finals. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, I'll see you all later.